This video is brought to you by Straight Goods News, Canada's alternative online news source. Visit straightgoods.ca.
So it's a very, very late budget date, but what we're hoping, what's happened is the government is backing off from what seemed to be a very precarious course that they were setting a few months ago, looking at massive cuts in services, massive cuts in jobs that would lead inevitably to a worsening of what is a very precarious economic performance right now in Canada.
What do you make of his refusal to lean one way or another, or he seems to be leaning both ways depending on which week it is?
Well, I think it's been very clear. When you look at Moody and Fitch, when you look at the IMF, the OECD, there's been, I think, a very clear consensus to make significant cuts at this point would worsen Canada's economic position. Now, coming into 2012, according to the IMF growth figures, we're ranked 152nd worldwide. I mean, this country has lost over 60,000 full-time jobs. We've seen factory closures. We're seeing a whole host of economic problems. So we have been pushing the government to take a responsible course. That's where the Canadian public is as well, and we're certainly hoping the government will be responsible in the presentation of this budget.
I'm just wondering if you think that the minister hasn't indulged in a bit of softening up of public opinion. There was a poll yesterday suggesting that most Canadians feel that the public sector should be cut, possibly even more than the government's suggesting, and he's also let it be known at certain points that it might be going as much as $8 billion. Do you think he's taking part in a campaign to try and soften up and prepare public opinion?
Well, I think when you look at other aspects, when you as Canadians, do you think their food safety should be cut, as we saw in the estimates yesterday? Do you think transportation safety should be cut? Do you think programs for veterans should be cut? Canadians respond very clearly no. So I don't think the government has succeeded in trying to push their agenda across, particularly given how sloppily and inappropriately they handled the OAS issue. Raising the specter of cutting back on pensions and OAS when the government's own actuarial tables show that it's sustainable in the long term has provoked a reaction from the public right across the country, including in conservative ridings. So the government's lost a lot of credibility with these specters of cuts. Canadians know that there's services they count on, and they know that significant job losses are going to provoke a worsening of our economy at a time when things are extremely fragile and tens of thousands of Canadian families have lost a breadwinner.
How specific do you think he'll be on OAS? Because we're hearing different things about how specific he will be on his OAS plans.
I hope that he's specific enough to say the Parliamentary Budget Officer and our own actuarial tables show the viability of OAS in the long term, and what we're going to do is to move to lift those seniors that are still under the poverty line out of poverty. We've evaluated that cost. It's $700 million a year. We campaigned on it in the last election campaign, and most Canadians share that principle, that seniors shouldn't be living in poverty. So hopefully he'll be clear in that way. If he talks about cuts or raising the retirement age, he will see, I think, a very significant pushback from the Canadian public, and Conservative MPs are already living that in their riding.
Do you think that they're pushing back the budget date because they're taking a beating on OAS and robocalls? I
think they've taken a beating on the OAS, the F-35 fiasco, on their internet snooping law, right now with the robo-scam. I mean, this has been a disastrous last month and a half for this government, and I hope that what that means is they'll be more responsible in how they approach the budget.